So you've completely cracked the code. You built a consumer product literally from scratch, you hacked the algorithm, and your direct-to-consumer sales they're doubling month over month.
Yeah, you've got the momentum.
Exactly. You have the followers, the momentum, and now you are staring down this ultimate prize. You want to walk into a massive big box retailer and see your brand sitting right there on the physical shelf.
Right, because that brings instant credibility.
Instant credibility, unmatched exposure, and just access to thousands of daily shoppers with their wallets already in hand. But taking that digital momentum and trying to put a physical box on a highly contested shelf, well, it requires an entirely different playbook.
It really does. I mean, the gap between selling online and selling wholesale is just massive.
Yeah.
Because retail buyers, they sit at a desk reviewing thousands of pitches every single year. They're looking at spreadsheets. They aren't tasting your organic ingredients or, like, admiring your brand colors.
Right. They don't care about the font you chose.
Exactly. And because of that sheer volume, they are highly trained to instantly spot founders who simply aren't ready for the operational realities of physical retail. I mean, they scan for risk constantly.
And that is exactly the mission for today's deep dive. We are digging into this really insightful guide from Johann Jacob, who is the president of Retailbound.
Yeah, and they're a consultancy that has helped brands launch in over 150 different retailers.
Right, so they know what they're doing. We are taking his framework and decoding it for you. The goal is to help you stop sounding like a, wide-eyed, risky startup and start sounding like a mature, retail-ready partner.
Which requires a fundamental shift in how you view your business and, honestly, more importantly, how you view the retailer's business. You are moving into an environment where the metrics basically dictate everything.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the guide points out that the single most common mistake early-stage founders make is talking way too much about their actual product.
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time.
Right. They walk into the pitch and they just rave about the premium materials, the ethical sourcing, the sleek design. But we need to shift away from what the product is and focus entirely on what the product does for the retailer.
Yes.
It actually reminds me of selling a house. Like when you are the seller, you are so emotionally invested in the memories you made in the kitchen. Or like that custom paint job you did.
Right, the sentimental stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the buyer walks in, and they're just looking for, water damage in the foundation, the age of the roof, and the long-term resale value.
That is a perfect analogy because the founder is emotionally invested in the features, but retail buyers are, fundamentally, they're real estate managers.
Real estate managers. I like that.
Yeah, their ultimate focus is profit per square foot. They have a finite amount of physical space in that store, and every single SKU, which is a stock keeping unit, basically the distinct barcode for each specific variation of a product, well, it has to pull its weight.
Right.
So if a specific SKU takes up 6 inches of shelf space, the buyer needs to know exactly how much profit those 6 inches will generate compared to, say, the competitor sitting right next to it.
Wow.
Yeah, you are presenting a business case, not just a neat item.
So you have to totally reframe your features into retail outcomes. The Force actually provides some excellent translations for this, which I love. Like if a founder walks in and says, we use the most durable packaging in the entire category, the buyer doesn't care about the cardboard.
No, they don't care at all.
Right. They want to hear the financial outcome. So you translate that to, our reinforced packaging reduces in-store damage and returns, which protects your margins and maintains shelf integrity.
Exactly. Because you are solving a headache they didn't even have to mention. A damaged box on a shelf means a customer won't buy it.
Which means it gets marked down?
Marked down or just thrown away. And that eats directly into the retailer's profit.
Right. And another example from the guide is a founder boasting like, customers absolutely love our flavor.
Which is totally subjective.
Exactly. You have to translate that subjective feeling into an objective retail benefit. So instead you say, our high online repurchase rate indicates strong repeat demand, which will help drive consistent, recurring foot traffic to your stores.
Yeah, and you also have to address the retailer's overarching category goals. Like, a buyer might be trying to increase their overall basket size.
Which means they want strategies to get a single customer to spend more money during one single trip to the store.
Right. Or maybe they are desperate to win a younger demographic, or they're trying to differentiate their physical experience from massive online competitors.
It's about knowing what they actually want.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Positioning your brand as a solution to the retailer's specific operational problem is the absolute key to earning their trust.
Yeah.
When you walk in and prove that you care about their baseline growth goals, rather than just trying to get your own product placed, you transition from a vendor begging for a favor into a strategic partner.
You're speaking their language.
Right. You are showing them how your product is basically a tool they can wield to hit their own internal performance targets.
But, I mean, if profit per square foot is the only thing that truly dictates success on the shelf,
Yeah.
then you have to be able to speak the language of that profit.
Oh, 100%.
Like, if you walk into a pitch only knowing your top-line revenue, you are going to get shown the door.
Immediately. Retail buyers expect a flawless understanding of wholesale economics. It is a math test.
A literal math test.
Yeah. You cannot fake your way through the financial mechanics of big box retail.
Right. And the guide actually lays out 3 specific metrics you have to know cold. So first is velocity.
Yep.
This is the expected units sold per store, per week. And you have to bring in benchmarks from comparable retailers or, carefully adjust your direct-to-consumer data to project this.
And second is margins. You need to know your wholesale cost, the suggested retail price, or SRP, and that specific retailer's margin requirements.
Which is crucial, right? Because you can't just dictate a price.
Yeah. No, you have to fit inside their existing financial model. If your wholesale price doesn't leave them enough room to hit their required margin, they mathematically cannot afford to put you on the shelf.
Wow. Even if they love the product.
Even if it's the best product they've ever seen. And the third metric is your CAC, your customer acquisition cost.
Okay.
This is exactly how much money you spend in marketing or advertising to acquire one single paying customer online.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have to challenge this.
Go for it.
If I'm selling a physical product in a brick-and-mortar store, why on earth does a buyer care what my Facebook or Instagram ad costs are? Like, that is my digital business.
Right.
Their business is the physical store. Why is my online CAC their concern at all?
I mean, I know it seems disconnected, but a buyer wants proof of a scalable, predictable engine.
Predictable.
Yeah. If you knew you can acquire a customer online for exactly $10, you can extrapolate how that marketing investment will translate into localized in-store demand.
Oh, I see.
It proves you understand the mechanics of customer behavior. You aren't just, riding the wave of a lucky viral video. You have a repeatable system.
Right. It's a machine you can turn on.
Exactly. It signals immense operational maturity, which drastically lowers the perceived risk of putting your unknown brand on their shelf.
Ah, okay. So having a dialed-in CAC proves I can essentially manufacture demand on command.
Yes.
But even if I can prove I acquire customers for $10 online, the retailer is still going to ask how I plan to aim that $10 engine at their specific physical aisle. Because math and margins look great on paper, but retailers cannot afford what the guide calls passive demand.
Oh, passive demand is a total death sentence in retail.
Tell me about it.
Well, that means a product just sits there collecting dust, waiting for someone to happen to walk by, notice it, and decide to buy it.
Just hoping for the best.
Right. And shelf space is incredibly expensive real estate. If your product isn't actively moving, it is costing the retailer money every single second it sits there. This is how brands end up in the shelf space graveyard.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You can't just ask for placement. You have to present a concrete go-to-market strategy to drive sell-through. Like, you essentially have to do the retailer's marketing job for them in your pitch.
You really do.
The source breaks this down into an activation plan. First is in-store support. We're talking product demos, sampling programs, and shelf talkers. Those little signs jutting out from the shelf to catch a shopper's eye.
Yep, the physical stuff.
Right. Second is digital optimization, which ties back to that CAC we just talked about. You show them exactly how you're going to use your email lists and paid ads to drive foot traffic to specific store locations.
Yes, not just, hey, we're generally available now.
Right, but like, we are available at the location on 5th and Main.
Exactly. Because relying on the store's natural foot traffic means you are asking the retailer to do all the heavy lifting. The moment you bring a digital activation plan that pushes your existing loyal audience into their physical aisles, you become a highly valuable traffic driver for them.
Wait, okay. If I am providing the marketing, the digital traffic, the localized targeting, and the shelf strategy, what is the retailer actually doing besides just giving me a metal rack? Like, are they just a landlord at this point?
Oh, I mean, in many modern retail scenarios, the dynamic has absolutely shifted toward a real estate model.
Really?
Yeah. The retailer provides the massive localized distribution network and the immediate physical availability that consumers demand today, but they completely expect the brand to bring the audience.
Wow.
They are essentially renting you high visibility distribution, and your digital activation plan is how you pay the rent, beyond just the standard margins.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Which makes the third element of the activation plan so critical, the promotional calendar. You actually have to map out planned discounts, seasonal spikes, and your promotional cadence for the entire year.
Because retail is entirely calendar driven. Buyers are planning back to school resets, holiday end caps, and summer transitions like 6 to 9 months in advance.
So they're already living in the future.
Right. So when you present a promotional calendar that actually aligns with their seasonal shifts, it shows you understand their daily reality. It completely changes the tone of the meeting from a skeptical vendor pitch into a collaborative working session.
Like how to execute a shared growth strategy.
Exactly. You move to the same side of the table.
Right. But, I mean, generating demand and executing brilliant marketing is entirely useless if the shelf is empty.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have to talk about the unsexy backbone of this operation. Proving operational readiness.
This is the bedrock. Retailers expect brands to ship OTIF.
Okay.
That stands for on time, in full, not 12 hours late, and not missing 3 pallets, on time and in full.
I gotta be honest, my head is spinning with the jargon in this section of the guide. OTIF, EDI compliance, routing guides, vendor manuals.
It's a lot of acronyms.
It really is. If I'm a founder who's scaled like a hot sauce brand out of a commercial pitch-in, how am I suddenly supposed to understand corporate EDI routing systems? It feels like you need a logistics PhD just to put a box on a truck.
I get that. But what's fascinating here is understanding the mechanics behind these massive rules.
Okay, break it down for me.
Think of a massive retailer's automated distribution center, like a major city's plumbing system. It is a highly calibrated, automated flow of millions of boxes moving on conveyor belts, being scanned by lasers, and loaded onto outbound trucks in a matter of literally minutes.
It's a huge operation.
Massive. So if you send a pallet stacked even 2 inches too high, or you have a barcode that is slightly smudged, it is the equivalent of flushing a bowling ball down that plumbing system.
Oh my gosh, a single misprinted label clogs the pipes for the entire automated facility.
Exactly, and it causes cascading delays across hundreds of stores. So in your pitch, you must proactively address logistics.
Right.
You have to confirm your EDI compliance, which is electronic data interchange. But basically, the system that allows your supply chain software to automatically talk to their computers for purchase orders and invoicing without human data entry.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you detail your lead times, your maximum production capacity, and you prove you have backup manufacturing options if your primary factory just goes down.
So you basically have to prove you have memorized their massive vendor manuals and strict labeling requirement before you even get the deal.
Yep.
You bring this up front so the buyer knows you aren't going to be a logistical nightmare that costs them their annual bonus.
Exactly. You're mitigating their personal risk, too.
But let's look at reality. Even with flawless operations, a dialed-in CAC, and that perfect plumbing analogy, buyers still look at new, unproven brands and see massive risk. So how do you actually de-risk the deal for a skeptical buyer?
You use your existing data as a shield. Buyers do not want your optimistic assumptions. They want cold, hard validation.
They want the numbers.
Right. If you lack a 10-year track record in physical retail, your direct consumer data becomes your absolute strongest asset.
And the guide highlights leveraging geographic demand here. Instead of just saying you have a popular product, you say, look, 40% of our online orders currently ship to the Northeast. That perfectly aligns with your regional store footprint, so we already have hard proof that your local demographics buy this.
Yes. And you also analyze your customer reviews. Don't just show them 5-star ratings, Extract the recurring keywords. If customers constantly use words like incredible value or top quality, that signals very specific things to a buyer.
Wait, why do those specific words matter? Why does a buyer care if a review says incredible value?
Because incredible value tells the buyer that your product can survive an economic downturn or rising inflation, which protects their baseline revenue.
Oh, that's smart.
Right. And top quality signals that the product is durable, which means a lower return rate. Returns are a massive logistical expense for retailers. They call it reverse logistics. So when you highlight those keywords, you are speaking directly to their margin protection.
You also bring in sellout signals. Mentioning wait lists, successful pre-orders, or times you completely sold out of inventory demonstrates real urgency.
Definitely.
And if you are currently selling in smaller independent boutiques, you bring that sales data too. Success in a highly curated, smaller retail environment is a fantastic predictor that you can handle the jump to a major retailer.
Yeah, you are basically building a fortress of validation around your product. But we have to be honest here, even with all of that, there are times when the buyer will still look at you and say, no.
Ugh, that rejection is brutal. When you've poured your life savings, your weekends, and your literal sweat into building a brand from scratch, hearing a flat no from a buyer feels incredibly personal.
It hurts. But this raises an important question about the role of ego in business. Experienced operators know a fundamental truth. A no in retail rarely means never.
Right.
It almost always means not yet. The biggest mistake a founder can make is letting their bruised ego dictate their reaction, taking the rejection personally, and basically burning the bridge.
And the guide really stresses treating a no as a strategic opportunity. The moment you get rejected, you suppress the emotional sting and pivot instantly into learning mode.
Exactly.
You ask the buyer directly, what specific benchmarks do we need to hit to be reconsidered during your next review cycle?
Because a category review is the set time of year, usually just once or twice annually, when a retailer decides what products stay on the shelf and what new products get rotated in.
So it's a very tight window.
Very tight. If you miss that window, it's an automatic no, purely based on timing. Or, maybe they love the product, but they need it in a smaller box to fit their specific shelf height requirements.
So by handling that rejection with clinical professionalism, you leave the door wide open. You prove you are coachable, resilient, and focused on their needs.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of massive, lucrative retail partnerships start with a rejection, and then a year later, the founder returns having hit every single requested benchmark, turning it into a massive contract.
Oh, it happens constantly. It proves to the buyer that you are a serious operator who listens to feedback and actually executes on it. It builds trust before you even make a single dime together.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at this entire journey, from a booming direct-to-consumer brand to a major retail partner, it is a complete transformation of mindset.
Completely.
Retailers don't just want cool, innovative products. There are a million cool products out there.
Right.
They want partners who can actively grow their categories, who can protect and increase their margins, and who can execute the unsexy logistical details without a hitch. By mastering the metrics, building a localized marketing engine, and understanding the supply chain plumbing, you basically shed the label of a risky startup.
Yeah, you become a brand that a seasoned buyer is genuinely excited to bet their own career on.
Exactly.
It is a paradigm shift. And honestly, analyzing this entire process actually leaves me thinking about where physical retail is heading next.
Oh, really? Where do you think it's going?
Well, because if pitching to a physical store is no longer just about handing over a great physical object, but rather about proving you can manipulate data, manage acquisition costs, and fine-tune supply chains to guarantee profit per square foot,
Right.
it makes you wonder how the layout of stores might evolve in the next 5 to 10 years.
How so?
Well, as brands get increasingly sophisticated at driving highly targeted digital traffic down specific physical aisles, will the traditional shelf become more of a dynamic, rented billboard?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, rather than just a static space to store inventory, the shelf might become an interactive physical extension of a brand's digital ecosystem, completely measurable and adaptable in real time.
The physical shelf as a rented digital billboard. That completely changes how you view a standard trip to the grocery or hardware store.
It really does.
That is a brilliant concept to mull over. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the realities of retail pitching. It is just a completely different world behind those buying desk doors.
Absolutely.
The next time you are walking down an aisle at your favorite massive retailer, stop and really look at the products sitting there. Remember that they aren't just there because they have great packaging or they taste good.
No, not at all.
They are there because a founder passed a rigorous math test, proved their operational backbone, and convinced a risk-averse real estate manager that their product was the absolute strongest foundation to build a profit on. Keep that in mind, keep learning, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.